1776, the Declaration of Independence was signed by 59 men, I believe is the number, including this statement: "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." You've all heard that, right? "That they are endowed by their Creator, with a capital C, with certain unalienable rights." You've heard the unalienable rights part. Why haven't we heard that part with the Creator with a capital C as many times as we've heard the other things? Over half of the men who signed that document had divinity school training, like training in knowledge of the Bible, to be, I don't know if it was to be ordained pastors and ministers, I don't know exactly, but over half of them had that training. That was 1776. 1782, our Congress of our country approved the Bible that would be printed and distributed to people here in, I'm struggling whether to call them colonies or states. Our Congress approved that Bible. In 1789, George Washington became the first president of our country. In his inauguration speech, he mentioned the Almighty Creator and the invisible hand with a capital I and a capital H, talking about how we cannot be who we are and what we are without acknowledging the presence of our Almighty God. Look that speech up if you have never seen it. From the 1840s to the 1880s, several monuments were built. The Washington Monument was built. It towers 555 feet above Washington, D.C., the most powerful city in the world. And at the very top is a plate with an inscription that says Laus Deo in Latin. What does that mean? It means praise be to God. During that same period of time, a monument was built honoring our pilgrims. The pilgrims who came here, the first settlers in our part of the world. It is called the Monument to the Forefathers, the Matrix of Freedom. It is completely and entirely honoring God and the information in the Bible, our law and our teachings. And okay, so in the 1700s, we believe these things. In the 1800s, we believe these things. In 1954, the words "under God" were added to our Pledge of Allegiance. They had not previously been part of that thing, that poem, I don't know what to call it, okay? The words "under God" had not previously been part of that. 1956, "In God We Trust" became our national motto. 6 short years later, school-sponsored prayer was deemed unconstitutional, and we know where these things have gone since then. So what happened? What has happened? Okay, our kids are being taught that, and information online is, I was searching for some of these. It's so very interesting how people take their own take on history and turn it into what they want to. It's hard to find the truth these days. So if they believe so very strongly in this religion, in the teachings of the Bible, and the God who reigns over all of us, why didn't they make it part of our government? Why didn't they? Why isn't it in there? Because that's what they were running away from. They were running away from a place where their rulers insisted on who they worshipped and how. The separation of church and state that has been used against, including religion, in schools, in government, in courtrooms. The meaning of that statement was not to keep religion out of government, but to keep government out of religion. They wanted the religion to spread because it was important. Spread because of the meaning of what it is and what it can do for people, not because of what it is going to take away from our government or our schools, etc. I've been reading Old Testament in the Bible for quite a while now. Several years ago, I life had been too hard. I finally broke down and went to God. And I've been a Christian my whole life, but life got too hard to do the way I was doing it. I wasn't doing it the right way. And I decided I was going to read this book, whole thing. I was going to read it cover to cover, and I'm going to believe every word that's in here. Because if I pick and choose what I believe, well, that just doesn't make much sense, does it? So some of this is hard to believe, but you know what? I've seen miracles happen in real life. I know a lot of people that miracles have happened in real life too. And if those things can happen, then I believe that all these things can happen too. So I started reading the Bible. I started in the New Testament when Jesus was alive, read to the end, started back at the beginning. I'm almost done. I've been a little slow. I'm not quite done yet, but I'm getting there. So I've been reading Old Testament for a while. I read Isaiah here not too long ago, and I've been in the book of Jeremiah. And Jeremiah was a prophet warning God's chosen people over and over and over again to turn their faces back to the Lord, to stop worshiping their idols, and to obey the Lord's commandments. Turn your faces back to me and I will protect you. Turn now, each of you, from your evil ways and your evil practices, and you can stay in the land the Lord gave to you. Over and over again, do as I say and I will protect you. What do? They do what they want. They worship other gods. They worship these idol things that they've made, these little metal statues. Okay, it's a little hard to know how to apply these things to our current life, but basically, what do we put in front of God? What do we put in front of God? Those would be our idols. Do we put TV in front of God? Do we put social media in front of God? Do we put exercise or eating healthy or sports or you name it? Our land is worshiping a bunch of idols. We've turned away from our God. And I keep reading these things like, man, is he talking to us right now? I don't know. This is from the beginning of Jeremiah 19. I'm going to skip some things. Listen, I am going to bring a disaster on this place that will make the ears of everyone who hears it tingle. For they have forsaken me and made this a place of foreign gods. They have burned incense to gods, filled this place with the blood of the innocent, built altars to foreign gods, worshiped their idols. So beware, the days are coming. I will smash this nation and this city. I am going to bring on the city and all the villages around it every disaster because they were stiff-necked and would not listen to my words. Sometime in the future, I'll probably talk more about we as Christians, what we're doing and what we can do in churches. I see so much in this country. We are not living by what we are told to live by in this book. It is time that we wake up. It is time that we wake up. So a lot of people would argue that the prosperity that our country has seen, this unmatched prosperity, never before seen in the world, has been a result of the fact that our country was founded under God, worshiping Him, giving glory to Him, acknowledging Him. Our laws may not have mentioned Him, those rights that we were guaranteed, but they clearly acknowledge Him and the ideals taught in this book of kindness and treating people right and not stealing and not cheating on your spouse and not murdering people. Like, that all comes from here. It all comes from here. Where else did it come from? It came from here. So many would argue that that is how our nation was able to become so prosperous. And in that prosperity, what happened to us? we started to take it all for granted. We could rely on ourselves. We could rely on our bank accounts. We can rely on our knowledge and our education to get us through life. We can rely on all these other things. And we have turned our faces away from the one who helped this nation even exist in the first place. Sometime we may talk about the things that happened that just seem like pure flat out miracles that led to it is just unbelievable that our nation even ever came to exist, especially in the way that it came to exist. Are we acknowledging these things? I know many of you, people of faith out there, are, what do we do? What do we do? And I hear that we can't even talk about it at church, and nobody at church is even, we're not going to talk about it because we're not political. We don't have to be political, but we need to realize that the days of being able to worship as we please, the days of being able to live as free people, could be numbered. And I hate saying things like this because I sound like a crazy person, right? I sound like a crazy person, but in my videos, friends, I'm urging you I highly encourage you to turn off the noise, turn off the news, turn off the social media, turn it off. Search for several sources of information on opposite sides of the aisle. 1, 2, 3 on each side. People of faith. Look up some Christian news sources. I've started listening to more here in the last few days. And just start listening. You can open up those apps on your phone, download several apps, open them up once or twice a day. Scroll through the headlines, the ones that catch your attention. Read more about them. If you start seeing things completely unlike anything you have ever heard before, and you're like, oh, that must be made up. I can't believe they're making up these stories. Well, we need to look at this with an open mind and start listening to all of it and start deciphering what we think is the truth and praying about it. It's a hot mess, all the false information out there, and we have to decide how we're going to respond to this. So if you start seeing things completely unlike anything you've ever heard before, that's probably the kinds of things that I hear and the kinds of things that I think are the truth. It is my belief and that of many others that what's on the news is a bunch of noise. It's a big distraction from what's actually happening. Search for the truth, my friends. Pray. People of faith, if you're looking for some resources. I talked about the movie series God's Not Dead. The 5th one in the series is in movie theaters right now. I saw it last weekend. It's excellent. Hits on some of the reasons that some of us have decided to bury our heads in the sand and act like we don't have a part in doing something about this. But we do. We do, and we have to. And they had a website to go to for action, for registering to vote, for information. There's videos, there's all kinds of stuff. There's some like weekly news updates, all kinds of things, but it's myfaithvotes.org, myfaithvotes.org. So that's another place you can go to for information. Thanks for being here. I need you if you think this is important and if you think people need to hear things like this. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm trying to help us all decipher way through the mud. Let's wander through the mud and figure out what we're going to do. If you think this is important, if you think more people need to hear things like this, I need you to share it. It's not going to share itself. Like, comment, share. I've been getting messages from lots of you offline. I need you to comment online. I need you to comment here, and that's going to help people see it. Send it in text messages, send it in emails. We have to start talking to each other. So let's do that, friends. Tomorrow's the day off. One of the commands in this book that I'm really trying my best to start following, even though I didn't most of my life, is rest on the Sabbath day. I will not be here tomorrow. For several months now, I've been trying to turn away from the work nonstop mentality and to rest on Sundays. So Lucy wanted to say hi. Now Lily wants to say hi. We'll see you back here on Monday. Be blessed, everyone.